Hey Credit Warriors, welcome to the show. Now you may have seen articles and videos recently talking about proposed changes to credit scores and even a complete overhaul of the system with the creation of a government credit bureau that would effectively replace the current credit scoring system. Now, these all come from several bills that have been proposed by the House Financial Services Committee, headed by Maxine Waters. Now, these bills are the Protecting Your Credit Score Act of 2021, the National Credit Reporting Agency Act, and wait for it, the Comprehensive Credit Reporting Enhancement, Disclosure, Innovation and Transparency Act of 2021. Man, that name is long, and that's why Congress never gets anything done, because they waste all their time thinking up ridiculously complicated names for things like that. And oh wait, this act may be cited as the Comprehensive Credit Reporting Enhancement, Disclosure, Innovation and Transparency Act of 2021 or the Comprehensive Credit Act of 2021. Like, can we get a facepalm emoji on screen right now? You can just imagine a junior congressman raising his hand like, Maxine, the name is a little bit complicated. Could we maybe make it simpler? And she's like, oh, all right, we'll put something in as an afterthought. Anyway, guys, I read through all of these bills and they are really, really long. So hit the like button for that. It would really make my day after I just spent hours sifting through all that political jargon. And best thing is, if you hit the like button, I'm going to give you a breakdown of all three of these bills and tell you how they affect you. Go on, you can do it. Thanks very much. All right, let's get started. So the Protecting Your Credit Score Act of 2021 is probably the most straightforward of these. It proposes adding a free credit score to your annual free credit report that you get from each of the three bureaus, but it goes further than that. It proposes that within 1 year of the act passing, all of the major credit bureaus must jointly set up a central portal through which consumers can access their credit reports, credit scores, can freeze their credit, so stop unwanted access, and can also dispute inaccurate information on their credit reports. Now, the part of the bill where it talks about what kind of credit score must be provided for free is very interesting. Here's what it says. It states that the credit score must be, quote, derived from a credit scoring model that is widely distributed to users by that consumer reporting agency for the purposes of an extension of credit or other transaction designated by the consumer who is requesting the credit score, or is widely distributed to lenders of common consumer loan products and predicts the future credit behavior of the consumer. So it seems to suggest that through this portal, you would actually be able to view your real credit scores that are provided to banks for free. So we're talking about FICO 5, 4, and 2 for mortgages, FICO Bank Card 8 and 9 for credit cards, FICO 4, 5, and 2 for auto loans, etc. Right now, those types of scores are only accessible for a fee, and scores that people can access for free are merely educational scores, which are inaccurate. But because the bill talks about a score that is actually used for making a lending decision, okay, extending credit, that suggests real credit scores for free. Now, this bill still has to go through Congress, and by no doubt it will be attacked from all sides by lobbyists, so don't hold your breath. But it would make things a lot more transparent for consumers. Okay, before we go into talking about the next bill and the shocking changes it proposes, if you want a way to keep information about your credit and all your credit cards in one place, check out the app Max Rewards. It lets you easily monitor balances of all your credit cards, your credit utilization, which is a very important factor for maintaining a good credit score, and it will even tell you which card to use where for the maximum level of cashback or points. If you get Max Rewards Gold, it'll activate credit card offers and quarterly categories for you so you never miss a deal. I've even used Amex offers without realizing it, and I get an email saying, hey, you used an offer and I saved some money. It's awesome. Anyway, if you want a free month of that, you can check it out with my link below, or you can just download the app and try the free features, of which there are many. Okay, now let's get into talking about the ridiculously complicated act that is called the Comprehensive Credit Act of 2021 for short. Now, this act again clearly distinguishes between actual credit scores and educational credit scores, and states that consumers must have free access to their actual credit score. The act seeks to establish rehabilitation of private student loan borrowers who have got into trouble. So basically what it states is that if your student loan has missed payments or delinquency or whatever negative information associated with it, you can get that all wiped off just by bringing it current and paying 9 months of on-time payments within a 10-month period. The bill also states that any medical debt that is charged off or has collections will be delayed by 1 year before it hits your credit report. And that gives you time to pay it off or settle it before you take a ding on your credit score because of medical debt. And once you settle it, it will then not be reported to your credit at all, because that's another point in the bill. Any medical debt that is paid off or settled must be removed from your credit report as well. Another important thing that is in this bill is a ban on using credit information for employment decisions. Now, this is such a common sense thing that it's just unreal, okay? Think about it. You lose your job, so you have no money, and thus you spend on credit cards, you get into credit card debt, maybe you have missed payments, high utilization, whatever, you lower your credit score, so then you're trying to look for a new job so that you can earn money and you can pay off your debt. But the employer looks at your credit report and he's like, this guy's got credit issues, I'm not going to employ him. But the whole reason you're trying to get a job is so that you can earn money and sort out your credit issues. So it starts a vicious cycle and just traps people in poverty. Now, employers aren't allowed to view your credit report in its entirety. It is just select information that they are allowed to view, but they can still see some of it. And some cities and states have already banned this, but I think it would be great if it could be banned at a federal level. Okay, now let's look at the final one of these three bills, which is called the National Credit Reporting Agency Act. And this proposes changes to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau and states this: there is established as an office within the Bureau the Public Credit Registry, or PCR, which shall act as a federal consumer reporting agency and provide consumer reports and credit scores to consumers and other persons in accordance with this title. So what this means is the creation of a government-run credit scoring agency that will bring in its own new credit scoring model in order to reduce inequality. The bill states that this new credit scoring model must allow consumers to voluntarily opt in their rent or utility payments. These aren't normally reported on a credit report. The score would utilize bank account and cash flow data. It would exclude medical debt completely in calculating the scores, and it would be required that negative information would drop off your report after just 4 years instead of the current 7 years that it takes for negative items to drop off a credit report. So Congress isn't so much canceling credit scores, but they are creating their own credit scoring model to rival the credit scores provided by private companies. Now, what do I think about all of this? Well, personally, I agree with pretty much every policy in these bills except for creating a government-run credit bureau, okay? So banning the use of credit scores for employment purposes, check. Delaying the reporting of negative information to do with medical debt, check. Providing credit scores, real credit scores, not just educational ones for free, absolutely. I also agree with a lot of the stuff in the actual government credit reporting agency bill itself, okay? For example, having negative items drop off after 4 years instead of 7. The world moves at such a fast pace these days. Do you really want to hamper someone's finances for 7 years, which is 70% of a decade, just because of some missed payments they had? They might have already completely turned their finances around. I mean, just 4 years ago, I was earning $35,000 a year. Now I'm doing way over 6 figures. You can turn your finances and your life around so quickly in this technological age that we live in now, and credit scores need to keep up. But I don't support the government doing it for a few reasons. When governments do things, they tend to do them really badly because there's not much motivation for them to do a good job. Just look at any airport in the United States. Almost all of them are government run and they suck. Then go to London's Heathrow Airport, which is run by a private company or consortium of companies, and you will be amazed at how slick an operation it is. Now, of course, it's that way because it's driven by profit and competition, and you could say that's sad, but unfortunately, that is just human nature. Secondly, the idea of a government-run credit score is getting uncomfortably close to what we see in China, where they have social credit scores that reward or punish good or bad behavior. Post something critical of the government on the internet, well, your social credit score could be lowered and you may have your internet speed cut or even be put on a no-fly list as a result. Now, obviously, we are still far, far away from that in the US, but in my opinion, I would prefer the government know as little as possible about me. Also, private companies cannot act on any of that data, okay? For example, Equifax can't send the FBI to raid my house because I missed a payment on a credit card. But when you set up a department in the government to manage a credit score, and then you think about what information could potentially be added into that credit score in the future, and also the fact that the government has different departments which could carry out certain actions based on that information, it opens up a whole moral can of worms. So my conclusion is that these are mostly very positive changes for consumers, but just force the private companies to do it rather than setting up a government-run credit bureau. I think I'd sleep better at night knowing that my personal information is in the hands of greedy capitalists instead of authoritarian socialists. At least I can kind of understand how the capitalists think. But hey, maybe you don't agree with me. That's okay. Leave your comments below. We're really not trying to be partisan here. I think there are people on both sides of the political spectrum who may agree or disagree with this. We'd love to hear what you think, so do join the debate. And guys, also remember, these bills have not been passed yet. They are not law. They are just being debated right now in the Financial Services Committee. If you want an app that gives you information about all your credit cards in one place, do check out Max Rewards, the sponsor of this video. It is awesome. Please subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.